Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Magnum P.I. is an American crime drama television series that starred Tom Selleck as Thomas Magnum, who is a private investigator in Hawaii. That series ran from December 11th, 1980 to May 8th, 1988. And was broadcast on CBS. The show ranked in the top 20 of the television programs by the Nielsen ratings during its first 5 years, finishing as high as number 3 for the 1982-83 season. The premise of the show goes that private investigator Thomas Sullivan Magnum, who Tom Selleck plays, lives in a guest house on a 200-acre beachfront estate that's called Robin's Nest in Hawaii. All this at the invitation of its owner, Robin Masters, who's an unseen character in the show. This is basically a quid pro quo for Magnum services based on his expertise in security. The pilot and several early episodes suggest that Magnum had done Masters a favor of some kind, possibly when Masters hired him for a case. The voice of Robin Masters, that's heard only in 5 episodes, was provided by the famous director Orson Welles. The fact that Masters is never around, so his estate is run by Jonathan Higgins, a stuffy Englishman and former Army Sergeant Major. Higgins has a very dim view of Magnum, a view he projects through ensuring that the guard dog Dobermans, Zeus and Apollo, make life difficult for Magnum. Meanwhile, Magnum is out solving cases in Masters' Ferrari, cases that often involve murder and intrigue. In these endeavors, he's aided by his closest friends, Theodore T.C. Calvin, who's a chopper pilot, and also by Rick Wright. The Robin's Nest estate is a fictional beachfront estate on the island of Oahu, Hawaii. In reality, it's a 3-acre property that's located on the east shore, and it's locally known as the Anderson Estate after its longtime owner, local politician Eve Anderson. The grounds have been used for hundreds of years for raising green sea turtles for the Hawaiian royal family, including a 500 by 50-foot stone wall that surrounds the former turtle-raising pond. It's been a residential estate since the early 1930s, comprising an 11,000 square foot main house, a boathouse, which in the series appears as the guest house that Magnum occupies, a gatehouse, and a private tennis court. Many of the indoor scenes of the series were filmed on the old Hawaii Five-0 soundstage, as the network did not wish for the Hawaiian production facilities to go to waste after Hawaii Five-0 ended its run. The producers of the series tried and tried, though unsuccessfully, in an attempt to convince Jack Lord to make a cameo on the show. The character of Thomas Magnum was initially written as a James Bond for television, someone with a girl on each arm that was flawlessly perfect. Selleck hated the idea of this portrayal. When the producers asked him what he wanted to do the show as, or how he wanted to portray it, Selleck remembered how much fun he had working with James Garner on the Rockford Files, and he suggested making Magnum into a more laid-back, blue-collar average Joe. The writers and the producers initially refused to go along with Selleck. Selleck threatened to not do the series at all, as he had been offered the role in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he threatened to do this movie instead. The writers and the producers finally relented, and Magnum became the approachable, charming jock character for which Selleck would become famous. Now you'll notice there are a few episodes, particularly in season 4, that focused mainly on one or more secondary characters. And this was all due to Tom Selleck's movie shooting schedule. He was sometimes unavailable to film full episodes. This is one of the very small number of shows in which an actor breaks the fourth wall in filmmaking, and he looks right into the camera and talks to it. Thomas Magnum does this on occasion when presented with a ridiculous situation. Selleck is a big Detroit Tigers baseball fan, so you see Magnum would often wear a Tigers cap. Several of the episodes also featured references to the Tigers. When the Tigers won the World Series in 1984, CBS made tentative plans to film an episode in the Detroit area. In the end, they went to a cheaper alternative and just had 2 Tiger players make cameos in Season 4, Episode 8, which was titled A Sense of Debt, when Magnum meets the players in a Detroit bar. Now, one of the most memorable parts of the Magnum PI intro was the scene where he's teaching a girl to scuba dive in shallow water. He's holding the girl by her underside as she kicks her legs while breathing underwater. All the time, he's staring at her caboose with a blissful smile on his face. There has been an enormous amount of debate, especially in social media, about who this girl really is. For years and years, it's been thought that it was Shirley Rogers, who was a local surfer from that area, who also was a photographer. But there's plenty of debate saying that this is not Shirley Rogers at all. People want to set the record straight on Reddit, saying that it is actually Debbie Bonfiglio. She is supposedly a full-time crew member of the show and was a stunt double on it also. It's said that Shirley has more of a boyish body, not so much a girly behind. So Debbie ended up having to double for her, something she did for many of the women on the show. I also read that she suffered some kind of brain injury a few years after the Magnum PI shoot, and that she didn't realize that Shirley Rogers was taking credit for her handiwork. But now you know. Everybody on Reddit states that Debbie is actually the girl that Tom Selleck was admiring in the tide pool. Take a look back at Magnum PI. It'll bring you right back into the 80s. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.